Welcome to Healers in Business, your guide to thriving as a bodyworker turned business owner. Join me, Jane Chevalier, CEO of Circular Path Consulting, a seasoned expert in the business of the healing arts, as I share invaluable insights, practical strategies, and heartfelt support to help you flourish in your business. Have you downloaded Survive to Thrive, my 8-part business guide for healers in business? It's completely free, and it's a short, handy business guide covering topics such as business strategy, creating your ideal client avatar, how to increase your income and have a happy money mindset, discover how to create the perfect brand and marketing plan for you, tapping into your highest self and your business professional persona, nurturing your foundation, such as creating a healthy support system at home and boundary settings with your clients, and finally, creating a sales plan and how to clearly and confidently communicate your offer to your ideal client avatar. It's completely free. Just click on the link in this podcast episode. So, for today's podcast, we are going to be doing how to use social media with Jen Vogler. Jen Vogler is the creator of Jen Vogler Creative. Jen is a marketing and development support expert specifically in social media for nonprofits and small businesses. It is Jen's passion to guide others in sharing their mission, spreading their impact, and growing their business. Here is my interview with Jen Vogler. Okay, Jen, so thank you so much for being here. If you don't mind just telling us a little bit about your background with social media and kind of how you have come to where you are now with it all.
Yeah, thanks, Jane, so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Jane and I met when I was a physical therapist in what I like to, refer to as my former life. But when I worked clinically as a physical therapist, I was always doing the social media for the clinic that I worked for. And then I went to MBA school and got more into working with nonprofits in marketing and development. And so now I have a consulting business and I specialize in marketing and development for nonprofits and small businesses.
Awesome. That's so, it's so exciting how everything in your background just kind of came together so seamlessly.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that we can reconnect over this podcast and talk about social media and answer some questions that I know you have posed to me at one point or another. And I know that other people have out there. So I'm hoping to bring a lot of value here. And if anyone hears something that they want to dive into more, feel free to reach out. I would love to connect and help you out.
Definitely. And we'll be making sure that we share your contact info at the end of this episode.
Awesome.
So Jen, social media, why use it? What is the benefit of using social media, and why is it so relevant now in almost any business you see?
Yeah, I think for a couple of different reasons. People who maybe are not that into social media, just having a presence there is just like a check. It's like a testimonial. It's another way to make sure that your business is legit. So there is definitely some bare minimum that you can do on social media just to validate your business. But if you want to get fancy, and spend some time doing social media, you can really grow your community. You can provide value to your clients, and you can attract new customers. So there's a lot of different ways that you can spread your message or share your service offerings, or sell your products.
What would you say is a good place to start for a new business or a business who's just getting their feet wet with social media and they don't have a lot of experience, or they might have a little bit of fear around it?
Yeah. I would start with just choosing one and choosing the outlet that is most used by your client or your customer. So doing a little bit of an analysis on who your ideal client is or who your most common customers are and where are they on social media? Are they on TikTok? Are they on Instagram? And also which aligns with your business and with your style. So if you're a food blogger and you're not into video, you don't want to show your face, that crosses off a few there, but you really like blogging and taking photos, then maybe Pinterest is where you're at. For most small businesses, I don't really recommend that they start with Pinterest unless that's where your ideal customer is at. So I think it depends on the business.
Definitely. And what do you think is the best like approach to figuring out where your ideal client hangs out online?
Um, so looking at their demographic, if you're selling to millennials, they're most likely on Instagram. If you're looking to attract the younger generations, they're probably more likely on TikTok. If you're targeting the boomers, they're on Facebook still.
Okay. And if you have kind of a mixed bag of clientele between those age groups, what would you say to do then?
Yeah, you could start with Instagram and Facebook. There is an integration where you can post most of your content across both platforms, so you can reach a larger audience and spend less time doing it that way.
Okay.
That might be a good place to start.
Okay. And okay, so with that, the way, so hashtags. Can you start with like hashtag seems pretty direct to me. Like for instance, if I'm targeting massage therapists, do I literally at the end of my post, in order to attract new clients who don't already follow me, do I put in hashtag massage therapist? Or how do you most use hashtags in the most strategic way in order to attract new clients?
Yeah, everyone has their opinion on whether hashtags are out or not. Whether it's like old news. I still use them, and I think that the most effective way to use them currently is, like you said, like hashtag massage therapist, but then also include your location. So if it's like hashtag Colorado massage therapy, or if you have a specific town, Denver wellness, hashtag Denver wellness. Making it a little bit more location specific can it just does a little bit better. Some of the larger hashtags, it can just get like lost in the shuffle if you're using a hashtag like opt outside, right? That like everyone in the outdoor industry might use, or something like that.
Okay, because you would say, because like my question is with this is so pretend like I'm searching Instagram and I'm looking for a social media creator like you.
Mm-hmm.
When I go into the search bar in Instagram, I'm not punching in a hashtag. I'm literally typing in social media curator. And
Right.
so I'm curious about how is that related to the hashtags or is it related to any words that I'm using in a content post?
That's such a great question. I love it. You're talking more about SEO. So yes, hashtags will get picked up by SEO, but when you go into that search bar and you're just searching, and you can filter it by accounts or tags, I think. But if you're just generally, you go into that search and you click in the search bar and you start typing in social media manager, it's going to search my whole profile. It's going to look at my name, so what's in bold. So if you'll notice, if you go to my social media, it says Jen, and then I think there's a vertical line and it says nonprofit marketing and development, or nonprofit consultant, something along those lines. That would get picked up. My bio, so what's written below that, says something like providing solutions for nonprofits to do more with less, marketing and development. I kind of use those words over and over again because that will get picked up. And then also in my posts. So both what the captions are over my video, the caption in as far as what's written below my photo or video, and then any hashtags that are associated with it there, anything that's in the comments. So really you can target an audience by making sure your comments and your captions and all are using the words that you would be searching, right?
Okay. All right. So it's not just about the hashtags.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's
Think
just
about
like
hashtags everywhere, but you don't have to use the little pound symbol.
okay. So it's just like Google.
Exactly.
Awesome.
And just
And
like what you would do on your website too.
okay. And so same goes with Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, all of them.
I would think so. Yeah. I definitely am more of an expert in the Instagram platform than the rest, but I would believe that the SEO is probably picked up pretty similarly.
Okay. All right. And so kind of moving on, what is a content pillar and why and how do we use it?
Yeah, you hear this term all the time, right? Like work on your business's content pillars and then you'll know what to post. So basically, your content pillar is what you are going to post. So it can be interconnected topics or buckets or little categories of what you're going to post about. So a couple examples, say you're a personal trainer or even a massage therapist that specializes in sports massage. Your content pillars might be, one is workouts or exercises. The next one is self-care tips. And then your third is your products and services. So maybe you sell supplements or you promote your training sessions or you tell people what class you're teaching.
Is that the same as those little circles?
No, not necessarily, but you could put them in your little circles and be
Okay.
very clear about, what you offer. Those little circles are the highlights. Are you talking about on Instagram, like
Yes.
on your profile? Yeah.
Yes.
So
Okay.
those are highlights. You can pull those from your stories. And you can create like a little about me, or you can create a testimonial one that has some testimonials. You can have a services one that kind of lists your services. You can use it almost like a website header. Travel photographers love to like put their trips in there, right? So here's like Bali from 2019, all those.
Okay. I want to circle back to the circles or the highlights.
Yeah, we can come
Because
back
I
to the
have so
circles.
many questions about that. But the content pillars. So you kind of, for the fitness example, you mentioned like three main buckets. And
Yeah,
so yeah, so tell me more about how to utilize and move forward with these
right.
pillars.
So that's just what you're going to post. So then you want to think about how frequently you want to post, how often you want to post out of each of those buckets. I typically recommend that you stick to 20% promotion, like self-promotion of buy this product, come to my class.
Okay.
So that's like 1 in 5 posts or so, if I'm doing my math correctly.
Okay.
Self-care tips and workouts are both kind of fall into that value education realm. I would keep that somewhere high, like 60 to 80%. And then you could fill it in with like some inspiration type posts or, you know, something that's I would keep it informative and educational in that space. You could also always use some humor, right? You could do like a silly or a trendy thing every now and then to try to reach a larger audience.
Okay. And so within these buckets that you have or categories, Is it something where you're going to be rotating between these categories every week to help you determine what type of post you're going to be creating?
Yeah, right. So all you figured out there is what you're going to post. So how do you deliver the message? So if we're talking about Instagram, you have a few different ways to speak that message, to deliver the message to your audience. You can put it in a photo. You can do a carousel post, which is basically like more than one photo where you would swipe through. So you'll see a lot of people make like Canva carousel posts where you kind of like talk through something educational or lead someone down a path. You can do a reel, which is that video, right? And then you can also do things in stories, which are great because you can link to your blog or you can link to your schedule, right? Schedule an appointment here. So stories are a great place to sell in Instagram. But you still don't know like how am I going to get this out there? Do I do like one reel a week? One, like some people say you have to post every day, which is crazy. Find something that works for you, but you also want to, my favorite little tip is to create something that someone is looking forward to seeing regularly.
Mm.
So like a series, there's a few different ways to do it. You can do a weekly series, like, I mean, remember Throwback Thursday, right? You don't have to do that, but you could do something like Workout Wednesday, right? There's a creator that I love it's a dog. His name's Ollie. And he has this like special jar and he takes a piece of paper out of it and it has an activity on it. And it started with a Sunday thing that his owner did. And it was great because like every Sunday you look forward to the video. And then over Christmas, they did like an advent calendar style where they did it every day for the month of December. And you like literally open your Instagram and you're like, oh my God, I wonder what Ollie's doing today. So creating some sort of series like that, it could be an ongoing, like workout tip number 7, workout tip number 38, workout tip number 74, right? You keep building this library. Think about when you're like deep diving on Instagram and you find something that's really interesting and you're like, workout tip number 74. Ooh, I wonder what 73 was. Ooh, 72. And you just like kind of scroll back and then you hit the follow and you want to follow that person because you found so much value in their content.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. It's like a way to keep that consistently and to maintain that audience to keep coming back.
Yeah. So in your series, you want to keep some things consistent. Either always do it in reels or always do it in photos. There's another creator who I love. She's a van lifer and she does Where We Went Wednesdays. And it's a photo dump always of 10 photos of just like kind of raw, like where they went, just like random things. And even when reels like blew up, she kept doing Where We Went Wednesday. And so when you're like inundated with videos, it was still like, oh, Lita's photos are here. It was like such a nice relief, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So keep it consistent, keep something regular, so that there is some consistency to it. It is recognizable.
Okay. And I know you said we don't need to post every day, but is there like an average ballpark of how many, in order to keep that consistency, how many times a week you should post?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do more of the minimal, if you could do 2 posts on 1 or 2 platforms, that kind of like makes you look alive, right? If you want to reach a larger audience and be growing and selling on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, I don't know what's going to happen there, but we'll see.
Right.
By the time this podcast comes out, we might know, Jane.
Yeah.
But I don't know, 4 or 5 times, whatever feels reasonable, and kind of mix it up. You can post on stories almost every day. You can have things that are already created that you kind of just like put out on the fly. but you don't want to feel like it's overwhelming because you will burn out. And that's definitely not what you want to set yourself up for.
Right, because you don't want to give all of your ideas away too soon. Like you need to be able to have like the endless content, which I know is the topic that you were going to discuss too. Like how do you come up with that endless content?
Yeah. I say give it all away, like everything. I'm not one that's like give away some for free and then like keep stuff for your paying clients, because I think that the people who want to do it themselves are going to do it themselves, and like find all the great stuff on the internet and like just still do it themselves. And the people that want help will reach out for help. So if you can provide so much value to the people who are likely to buy, then they're going to choose you, right? And they're going to work with you. So I love putting out as much value as possible. Some of the things like those series will help you to create endless content. Having content pillars or buckets will help you have endless content. You can create some things ahead of time. I'm not a huge fan of like scheduling out your whole month of social media posts, in a scheduler and hitting go, because then like the world shuts down or like a huge thing happens socio politically, right? That
Yeah.
you have to hit pause on your business, right? And address
Mhm.
real life. And I definitely think that things trend with social media, especially with like songs and reels. And you just don't want to get too far ahead of the game there, but you can create some things, maybe they're carousel posts or just some drafts in your Instagram or in your Facebook that are ready to go. So if you're having, your kid gets the stomach bug, you have something to push out, and you don't just like disappear for 5 days because you're like, there is no way, I have no energy to record something right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. It's
You
like,
have like a little catalog or a little library somewhere hidden.
yes, yeah, of like photos, videos you can use because it's like I'm not gonna get ready and do my hair and makeup every single day.
Right. I'm not showing my face on stories every day. If you think you're doing
Yeah.
that, you're wrong. You're not. Maybe some people are. I'm not.
Definitely not. Definitely not. I think that's like one of those things that I think can be a deterrent for people is not wanting to have, get dolled up and all of that. So maybe like they could save like a couple of days a month or something where they do all the photos. So, or like, I don't know, what would you say? Like, would that be good to kind of have days to devote to photos where you're like, okay, I look good, I'm feeling confident, or what would you say around that?
Yeah, you can definitely. There's a photographer here in the county that offers, I think it's every 3 months she does like a new shoot with you for an hour. So like you can do a mountain biking one, and then you can do like one more in the office and then one in fall colors. So you can get a bunch of content, right? So I think doing some shoots with professionals or your husband outside, something like that can be great. Um, and so yeah, that would be like in the batching realm. And then also creating some posts that don't have your face in it that are value bombs, right? Maybe it's a recipe that you're sharing. Maybe it's a workout that just has like stock-ish type photos,
Mm.
that you make in a carousel post. And so you have a few of those things, like your workouts, that's not going to change too much, or like recipes that you've been making forever, or your 6 different smoothie recipes that live off of. Those you can create one Friday afternoon when you don't have clients, and push them out once a week or once every other week or monthly, something like that.
Okay, so it sounds like you can do kind of like a mix of planning slash remaining flexible in case the climate changes.
Yeah, I definitely like doing both. I like kind of staying in that middle ground. Some is really on the spot live. And then some is pre-planned because life.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Um, and so next, that next topic I think you were going to discuss too is how to deliver the message, whether it's through reels or through like a particular strategy, or do you feel like everything we've been discussing already covers this?
Yeah, hopefully. Some of what we talked already covers all of that. But yeah, really doing a mix, I think, is the best. So you can, if you're a really structured person and you want to say, I'm going to put out 1 or 2 reels a week. I'm going to put out 1 carousel post a week. I'm going to put 1 static photo. I'm going to do stories 4 days a week. And you want to put it on your calendar and that works for you and you have it color coded. And if that's you, then you go and do that. If you want to be a little bit more flexible and just know that you're going to hit all of those avenues and you're going to try something new every now and then, like doing a reel where you show your face or doing like a point of view where you take someone through your day. Those can be really fun, right? So you can plan that out a little bit. Like, oh, I want to try a couple point of view reels and see how that does. I kind of play with things on on Instagram or on social media and see what does well, what the audience connects with.
Oh, yeah, that's such a good point to see how many people liked it, how many comments you got, kind of doing like that feedback analysis of like, okay, that worked or that didn't work. And it's like sometimes I'm like, is it just did it not work for a reason because it wasn't interesting, or was it the time of day or the algorithm of Instagram and my stuff didn't get viewed, like it seems like it's difficult to decipher. Or would you say like if it's not getting likes, it's because it really wasn't liked?
Yeah, it can be hard, right? Because some things I've had some reels that blow up that I'm like, wow, that was really dumb. I threw that together in 3 seconds. And then there's some things that you curate and you like wrote it out the script and you filmed specifically for that clip and like, oh no, let me try this angle instead. And you spend so much time editing it and you find the perfect trending audio and it flops. And you're like, what? I'm quitting social media, right?
Mhm.
So I do like looking at things with like more than an N of 1. So if I'm doing a point of view video, I'm going to do 4 or 5 of them, post them around similar times so that you have like less variables, right? Um, just and see how it does. And then try some photos, right? Everyone's like, oh, Instagram's, photos are coming back. So try some photos, 1 photo a week or well, like 1 more than you used to do
Mm.
and see how it does. Long captions versus short captions. Play with that a little bit. Some people really love like reading like that narrative and like, it's like your journal, right? And they like love learning about like really deep diving into a topic. See how that resonates with your audience. But don't like if you have a one-off that goes viral, like don't think you're awesome and that you figured out the magic thing because you can try to replicate it and it'll flop. So definitely look at like a group of posts that are similar and how they kind of all do on average.
Okay. Okay. Um, that's good feedback. And so what would you say is like, so I met someone at an event once and he's really good at doing all the funny little videos. And he was like, yeah, my mom was like, son, what is your end game here? You're just making all these videos on Instagram and they're hilarious and they're great, but like, what's the end goal? How is this actually going to turn into business? Like, how is this going to translate into actual clients?
Exactly. So, like, going viral doesn't necessarily mean you're getting more clients. Having more followers doesn't mean you're getting more clients. So, how do you wrap in the sales? So, one of your content pillars is selling, is promoting yourself and your products. So, you have to make sure to wrap that in. I work in the nonprofit space mostly, and a lot of nonprofits forget about the ask and they forget to ask for the donation. Um, in business, I think sometimes we tend to go the opposite end. We like ask too much. We post is the schedule of workouts at our studio, and we don't give any value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Throw those smoothie recipes out there. People want that. They're going to save it. Then it starts to expand its reach. They're going to share it with a friend. Then all of a sudden you have a new follower who's actually someone that lives in the community that might come to one of your classes. Um, Selling in your stories can be great because you can put a direct link. So you can say, if you're a massage therapist and you have a last minute cancellation, hey, I have one spot on Friday at noon, grab it here and put the link. I bet you're
Mm.
going to sell that spot. But you have to be active in your stories, throughout the week so that it's popping up on people's feed
Okay.
in their story thing.
Yeah, definitely. So it sounds like, the opportunity when you do your selling bucket, that's the opportunity to turn followers into clients, as well as posting calls to action buttons or links within your stories that people can
Yeah.
click.
Yeah, you bet. And some of your Instagram posts can just be like, hey, I have this special for this month, just not every post,
Okay.
but definitely use Instagram to sell because there is the ability to do that.
Yeah. So would you say that's like a pro about stories versus posts is that you can do things like call to action links and kind of real time last minute things?
Yeah, I think stories are the best place to sell. Um, you're in Instagram, whatever you put in the caption isn't like a clickable link. So you have to say, like, go to the link in my bio. So you want to have your website in your bio or like a link in bio type app like a Linktree or something like that, where you can direct people to go, okay, here's where you schedule. Here's where you get all my smoothie recipes on my blog, which is also my website where, you can schedule, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so you want to make sure that your Instagram profile, your homepage is optimized, that it's easy to find your website, it's easy to find wherever you want those people going.
Okay. And do you think it's better to have Linktree versus just a link to your website?
It kind of depends. If you're a website builder or you have someone building you a website and they can make you your own links page, I think that's great because you can like do it with your branding colors and make it really pretty. For like the nonprofits that I manage, where I know that it's going to change hands a bunch of times, there's going to be staff members that need to change it quickly. Linktree or something similar. I can't think right now of the other one, but there are a few out there that are free, just like Linktree, if you don't love Linktree for some reason. Those can
Yeah.
be really simple to use.
Okay. Okay. And can we go back to the highlights and just talk
Yeah.
about unpack
Little
that a little
circles.
bit?
Let's circle
Because
back to the circles, Jane.
because mine are not organized at all. Mine are a total
Mine need improvement for
yeah.
anyone who's on my Instagram right now, but it'll get there. Everything's a process.
Yes. So let's discuss the circles.
What do you want to talk about? What's your question? How can I help you improve your personal circles, Jane?
Yes. So okay. So they're pretty much a place to organize past stories, correct? Like stories you've already created and that
I
are
could not
saved in
have
the cloud.
said that better. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so before I even knew about highlights, whenever I've made stories, they were not intended for the circles. And
Yes.
so, what do I do with stories, past stories that really have no intention, no foresight, or no organization?
Yeah. Um, I think that most people who have good highlights, their stories for their highlights are curated. They're specific for those little bubbles. I've done it myself. And you know what? Your followers will deal with you posting a whole bunch of slides in a row so that you can upload them into your highlights. So something has to go through your story to get on to the highlight, which is the circle bubble, right?
Okay.
Say you want to introduce your clients to all of your services, and maybe they change every year, but you want to update it. So you create some pretty slides in Canva and make sure they're the right size. So they're sized for Instagram story, right?
Okay.
And you use your branding colors and then upload them in the order that you want them to go in the highlight. So that's pretty important. Things that go into the highlight bubble are in chronological order.
Okay.
So if you want all of your services, just like do it all at once. And you can put a first slide on your stories that you don't bring into your highlights that just says, hey, friends, I'm updating my services highlight bubble. Swipe through if you don't care to see it, whatever.
Okay.
Like,
So you're like giving people warning. This is what I'm
yeah.
doing right now. Just
And
like,
you
yeah.
don't have to, but like if you feel weird about it, like that is totally normal practice to do.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then
Cool.
people like who aren't familiar with using Instagram for business are like, oh, okay, I understand. I see what Jane's doing there. Okay. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
the older relative maybe who's like, what's going on here? On
Yeah.
this Instagram thing. Why do these keep
Okay.
disappearing? Um, and then highlight to highlight is also chronological. So I often recommend putting a start here highlight that you have as the first all the way on the left circle.
Okay.
Um, if you create that and then say a month later you update your services one, then all of a sudden your services is to the left of your start here. So what you can do is just upload something to the start here. It'll go back to the front and then just like delete it real quick. It just goes in chronological order. It's kind of annoying that you can't just like slide it over. But maybe if the man from Instagram is listening to this podcast, he will work on changing that for us.
Totally, because I'm like, I will like mix things up in my brain. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I just did that. How do I move it? And it's like overwhelming. It's overwhelming.
A little glitchy, like
Yeah.
the more you kind of play around with it, the more you'll learn the hard way on some things. But if anyone has questions like that, I've probably learned the hard way over the years. So just drop them in my DM and we'll work through it together.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. And so how many highlights do you recommend? Like, and what
Ooh.
categories of highlights?
Yeah, so I think you get 4 or 5 across your screen, depending on like how zoomed in your phone is.
Okay.
So definitely 4 to 5 to like fill it up. Some people like to create more. Um, but I'd say minimum have like, 4 so it fills up the screen. I think looks nice.
Okay. And would you say it should be a reflection of like your website, like the same menu items at your website, or what, or is it, are there different items that are more important when it comes to Instagram?
I think it's a great place to highlight your services, a great place to put some testimonials. Think of if you come across, so you like watched a reel that you found informative, or you came across a post where you liked the recipe, and you click over to the person's profile. And so you see their title and you see their little bio, and it says something that resonates with you. And then you click the highlight, right? Like about me or start here. You're like, oh yeah, okay, let's start here. Or about me. Okay, let's learn about this person. So what do you want people to know about you? So a little background information. I love an intro in the start here, like, hey, this is me, this is what my business is about. Here's what you can expect from my Instagram. Like, hey, I share a lot of recipes um in my feed. I take my doodle for a walk every day, and that's in my stories. If you don't like dogs, you're not going to like my page. Like, you can make it like a little quirky, funny. You can like show your personality a little bit in that intro. And then next, yeah, like your services. Like, what are you, why? That's answering mom's question. What are you doing here on Instagram? Why are you making these videos? So say what you do, show what you do. Then you can show some testimonials, or you can show some feedback that clients have given you, things like that. Is great to include in your highlights. And then anything special, like if you're sharing a lot of recipes and you want to put them all in one place so that someone can deep dive on that highlight, put it there.
Okay. All right. And like, how much do you think, in terms of personal life, should that be in the highlights, or should that just be, should personal stuff be shared at all when it comes to having a business social media account? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And definitely one that I've heard asked a lot. Um, you want to find a little bit of a balance, like with anything, right? Somewhere in the middle. You want to share enough so that you're personable, and people who don't know you personally feel like they know you personally enough to buy from you if you're selling online products, right? Like,
Mhm.
you're more likely to buy from your friend. So be their internet friend if you're selling products on the internet. You want to be personal, but you also have things in your family that are private and off limits. There's this one content creator who I love, Wendy, who used to put a piece of toast over her husband's face all the time, because I don't know if he wasn't into Instagram, or I think she was more like protecting him. And now he's like on her Instagram and very much a part of it. And it's fantastic, but like, she protected him, right? People, put something like an emoji over their baby's face. Like, you have to protect what's important to you and your family. So you have to create that line. And if you are sharing personal things on Instagram, or things in your home, like if you're food blogging and you're in your kitchen, like maybe you just have a conversation with the people in your household about that, and maybe what can and can't be in the background, or boundaries around your sharing, because you don't want that to come up when it's a problem, when it has become a problem.
I think that's so important, because I think, like, especially the younger generation, people will just take a picture of you, or like, if you're out for drinks with someone and maybe they just tag you without getting your permission. I think that's a huge boundary that it's so good that you brought this up, is getting people's consent of either the shared environment or home, and also getting the consent on, a picture of them and their profile as well.
Yes, for sure. I went skiing with a new friend on a Wednesday at noon, right? And she said, let's take a selfie, and I was like, okay, great. And so I took a selfie, and she said, just so that you know, I don't post any photos of skiing during the week. And she said, I own my own business and my clients know what I'm doing, but it's just a principle that I have. And I said, I totally respect that. Like, I will not tag you.
Yes.
And I just think that's really important to check with everyone. You don't know who's playing hooky from work or
Yeah.
what's going on, and it's really none of your business why. But it's really important to get that consent.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And in business too, if you're working with another business, like getting consent that you're sharing their information and vice versa.
Yeah, for sure. In the nonprofit space, we have a lot of sponsors, business sponsors, right, who donate money. Some of them want the promotions, and some of them kind of would rather be anonymous. So if one of your perks for, someone sponsoring your event or, a party is that you're going to promote them on social media, make sure you clear with them what they want said about them or how they want it tagged, or if they want to be a collaborator or if they just prefer to be tagged. You don't really want to surprise people. You want them to know what's coming.
Do you think like a signed press release is required,
Ooh.
or like more of an informal like handshake and conversation?
I love to have stuff in writing, like in an email. But if it's a bigger company, and depending on how big your business is, yeah, you would probably have a legal document.
Okay, that's good to know. Um, well, awesome. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground. Do you think there are any other topics that we haven't covered that you'd like to speak to, or do you feel like we've covered everything?
Oh my gosh, I feel like we covered so much. I hope it was helpful. But if there is anything that someone has a question about, wants to deep dive in that we like breezed over, I would be happy to do so. So just let me know.
Yeah, besides nonprofits, do you ever work with individuals or nonprofit businesses with their social media?
Yeah, I do work with some small businesses for marketing help, website development, social media support. Because I was a physical therapist in my prior life, it does tend to be in that wellness, health, PT, personal training type realm. I would love to guide anyone or refer out if there's someone who I know that would do a better job than myself as well.
And how can people contact you, or what's the best way for people to reach out?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Jennifer Vogler Creative. My website is jennifervogler.com. I'm on LinkedIn. You can search me by my name. Yeah, those are probably the best places.
Awesome. Well, this has been so much fun, Jen. Thank you so much. And um, reach out to Jennifer Vogler Creative if you have any questions on social media. Thanks for joining us, Jen.
Thanks, Jane. It was so much fun.
I hope you're feeling more confident in how to use social media. After listening to Jen talk about it, I feel more confident creating content pillars and really thinking outside the box on how you want to deliver your message to your audience. And she really kind of breaks down how to approach social media in a bite-sized way, which is really what I love, really making it feel way less intimidating. So thank you for listening to episode 8 in Healers in Business, How to Use Social Media for Your Business. Join us next week for a solo episode with me where I discuss how to use AI for good. I'm sure a lot of you are shaking your head saying I'll never use artificial intelligence for anything with my business, but please listen to why I think there are some good parts of AI. I think you're really going to enjoy this episode. See you next week.